season 2 of Feelings Matter, brought to you by Mindful Appy. I'm Michelle Stinson Ross. I am one of your regular hosts. I am also the show's producer. And I want to clue you in and kind of give you a preview. I know we were going to talk about mental health myths, but my co host, Tina Schweiger, is a little under the weather. And rather than just skip the opportunity entirely and reschedule, I thought I'd take a moment to introduce you to one of our new regular guest experts and tell you a little bit more about what's new for season 2. First of all, we have a new season sponsor in NAMI Central Texas, and they are represented by the lovely Karen Reynes. Hello, my dear. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you, Michelle. Great to be here with you today.
Thank you. So I'm going to give the floor and the mic and everything over to Karen for just a little bit for her to give you a little sense of who she is, what she's about, and kind of what the purpose and mission is with NAMI Central Texas and their mental health workplace training sessions, and why that's important to us here at Feelings Matter.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate it. So if you're not familiar with NAMI or the name NAMI, so NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. There's affiliates all over the United States, and we're here in Central Texas. And traditionally what we've done is provided lots of free online support groups and classes for families and individuals navigating mental illness. And in the last 18 months, we ventured into the world of workplace programming. And a lot of that grew organically because we had workplaces reaching out to us saying, we really would love to have you come in and help us because we know we need to talk about mental health. I'm really passionate about this work and excited about doing this particular work because I really have this passion really around creating opportunities for people to have mental health conversations and to really talk about it more proactively and positively. I almost lost my own daughter to suicide more than 10 years ago, and that's kind of how our family's mental health journey started. I've navigated my own depression for a period of time. Most of my family navigates some element of mental health, and that's not surprising because the numbers are 1 in 5, so lots of folks are impacted. I think we're likely to see those numbers increase because of the stress and uncertainty and all of what COVID has created for us. And the thing is, Michelle, is that really when we think about work, besides sleep, it is the place, it is the activity that we spend the most time doing. So it makes a lot of sense for us to venture into this workplace opportunity and really provide some tools, some conversations for folks to be able to talk more openly and positively about mental health. So we're excited about partnering with Mindful Appy because we think this is really important work. And we have that affirmed every single day in the work that we're doing. In fact, today I'm with 2 different workplaces talking to them about managing stress. That's what I did this morning. And this afternoon, after I visit with you, I'm with another group talking about how do you have conversations about mental health in the workplace. Mm-hmm. So these are important conversations that we know both employees want to be having and employers recognize the value of creating this space for them as well.
Wonderful. So in the process of how you work with companies and teams within companies, how does that whole feelings matter and mindfulness aspect play into how you teach people about mental health and how you teach people about caring for stress management? And just give us a little bit of a taste of what it's like to learn a little bit from you.
You know, one of the things that I love about our approach to the work is that it's very much like the work that we are doing with families and individuals, and that it's rooted in this real kind of authentic, transparent, and lived experience place. So we don't step into the workplace as just the expert. We stand there as experts because of our own lived experience. So we've all navigated mental health, and we weave in some of those stories into the trainings that we do, because we know that when we tell stories, that's one of the ways that it creates the opportunity for people to share their own stories. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we try to really do is just normalize that mental health is health. We'll get to talk about that and unpack that a little bit more next week when we get together to talk about those myths. I think that's one of the critical and fundamental ones. So really creating some of the opportunities for people to see the power of talking about these things proactively and really treating them like we treat other health issues. So giving people the language, the tools, really empowering them to step into those opportunities and to recognize what the resources are that are available to them. And I think also simplifying it. In many respects, one of the ways we can be proactive about our mental health is about understanding how do we take good care of ourselves when it goes back to our mental health, and providing some real simple tools for that. And then flagging for people, when do you know that stress isn't really stress, when it's something more serious that I need to see my doctor about? And really trying to diminish some of the shame that still exists around mental health and seeking treatment for it. We just really need to normalize mental health. Right. And I think education is one of the most powerful ways that we do that. I love the work that you're doing with your podcast, because it really is about that, right? When we talk about feelings matter, is recognizing that there's no bad feelings, there's no wrong feelings, that we are human, and that those feelings are part of our human condition. And so we need to normalize that. And the more openly we can talk about it, the more we feel empowered to engage in the help if we do need it.
Mm-hmm. So in the context of feelings matter, what are some of the ways that we can start to pay attention to one another's needs? Obviously, we don't have to go all the way to the point where everybody on our team is stressed out and having panic attacks and everything else before we intervene and start taking some good steps in communicating in a healthy way or just checking in on somebody. So from like a manager standpoint or a team leader standpoint, how is that important? How do they start to engage in just paying attention to the needs of their team?
Well, I want to start here, which is that I think that fundamentally one of the ways that we help other people is being really insightful about how we're taking care of ourselves. Because you can't reach into the pantry that is you and feed other people and care for other people and nourish them if you are empty. And so that's critical for, regardless of where you are on the team, whether you're a manager, a team lead, we all need to be making sure that we're taking good care of ourselves. So I think one of the things that managers can do is really learn about mental health, learn about how it is that they're taking good care of themselves. Because actually, one of the ways that we educate people the best and encourage and inspire them to seek help is by being able to model it and to talk about it from our own perspective as well. So I think that's critically important. Is oh, did you lose me?
No, I didn't. You're fine.
Okay, so we can act as though mental health doesn't have an impact on the workplace. But what we know is that all the data shows us is that people are struggling, and that a large percentage, I want to say like 50% of people, when they talk about the fact that they've left their jobs, they name mental health as one of the top reasons. Actually, I'm corrected. I believe that's 60%. Of those 60%, about 40% of them say it is the number one reason why they're leaving their jobs. Mm-hmm. So we need to understand that it's important that we talk about mental health. And you talked about, like, how do you recognize, how do you take care of other people? And I think it's just, honestly, I can give people lists, and I often do, like, here's some of the signs that you might recognize in someone else. But I think it's also about trusting our gut instinct that so often tells us something doesn't seem quite right, especially when it's someone that we've worked with for a while, who's been on our team for a while. We can often tell. I mean, even in this virtual existence, if I get on a Zoom with somebody, I can often very quickly tell just by their demeanor that it's like something's not quite right. And when you're seeing that on a regular basis, that might be the opportunity to say, hey, I've just noticed you haven't quite seemed yourself. Let's talk about what's going on. And then I think a good manager will have some of those resources in their back pocket ready to go, whether that's the company's EAP or some of the community resources that are available, and really being able to spread that understanding that mental health is health. Because I think so often it is the shame that keeps people from reaching out and getting help. So just assuring people, like, nothing to be ashamed of, like, it's a health issue. And I think in certain settings, when leaders are comfortable talking about any of their own mental health experiences, that can be transformative in a workplace. I've seen it happen where a leader steps up and says, hey, I've lived with depression for most of my life, and here's the things that I've done. And how that alone opens up the door where everybody goes, okay, like if he gets it, like I can feel comfortable talking about this as well.
Sure. Fantastic. I don't want to take up any more time. Like I said, this is just a sneak peek into season 2 of Feelings Matter. And I want to thank Karen so much for joining us for a few minutes. And I look forward to talking in depth about dispelling the mental health myths we often run into in the workplace next week.
I look forward to it. See you then.